Shalom, shalom, on this really sobering day. So I'm just going to kind of go right into something that's pertinent to today. We live in very dark times, dangerous times, perilous times, not like the Bible didn't warn us that there would be this season, this birth pangs that would be very difficult to get from one era, the past age into the new age, but the millennial reign. But there's two, I want to go back to biblical archetypes, because more and more I realize that is really what I'm all about, is trying to recover the highest level wisdom and understanding. That's what our Bible says. If you want to know what's going on, you got to get wisdom and understanding. And this is not natural knowledge. You don't go to MIT or anything to learn this. This is deep Torah study, meditative, deep into the Hebrew, into the Sod level. But anyways, I have all that. But the biblical way to talk about what's going on in the world today is really the squaring off. We're coming into the time, Satan's just not going to leave the planet, and he's not just going to leave us alone, so to speak. He has to be put down with authority. He has to be put away. That's what you do with a criminal. You catch them and you put them away. And that's exactly what's going to happen. But it's the sons of darkness now, really and truly, versus the sons of light. You got the sons of God, and you have the sons of Lucifer, the sons of the serpent, the Luciferians. Those, all right, that's the contrast that's going on here, and you will know them by their fruit. See, this is not about race at all. This is what's so interesting. It's about species. It's about where is the root of your soul coming from? Is it coming from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? Are you from the other side? Or are you a righteous Sadiq? Is your fruit proving that you are from the true vine that is from our Father? This is paramount. And we only can know this by their fruit. Well, how do you judge? There's a standard. And it's called the word. This is how you judge the world, how you judge righteousness, how you discern. Now, this is the nation. So the nations are, the Bible has this whole archetype. I've done teachings on it. It's very, complex, but there's the 70 nations, all right? It's an archetypal story very early on at the Tower of Babel, the splitting of the languages, but it's much deeper than that. We're talking, again, about soul roots. But there are 70 gods over these 70 nations. This is what the Torah text tells us in its deeper, more esoteric levels, where the parts of reality are that are not necessarily on the surface, and you don't really want them on the surface right away. You want, the part of the way the Torah is written, let me just say, you want it so a child can read it and get very great, filled with great expectation and hope and a love for God and all these things, but you don't want to scare the crap out of them. And it's very scary. This world is not a friendly place. We are under siege. So it's couched in layers of understanding. That's what the keys are called. All right. You must have the key, the way that the knowledge is being made a little more mature, a little higher up, a little greater understanding. All right. So, but I want to, so we're going to contrast these sons of darkness. Believe me, the sons of darkness emanate in a soul root. Their deeds are evil. According to the standard of the word, you just put the 10 commandments for light right there. Boom, the deeds are evil. But the deeds of the righteous are supposed to be the opposite. They're supposed to be full of goodness and peaceableness and joy and fruitfulness. All right. Love and joy and peace. So there is definitely a contrast in mitos, which is character. But to bring this, I don't want to talk, so I want to write down to today, because seriously, if you're not woke up at this point, because we're going right into some very treacherous times. And if you're not quote unquote awake, and you're just going to wake up one morning completely dashed against the rocks, and in a lot of cases totally beyond repair, and it's your fault. Okay, there's plenty of signs. There's been plenty of time and preparation. That's the whole point. Noah built the ark, and it took him 120 years, and everybody had a chance to see and hear the story and kind of make a decision. Did they think this imminent judgment was coming or not? Well, we're under another very imminent, thorough, wrathful judgment of God, of Elohim, that will fall on all of the nations. Right now, everyone is under chastisement. He is threshing. The nations, let me say this also, when I say the nations too, there are portions of Ephraim and Judah in the nations. They are one of the nations. They are each independently their own nation within the nations. That's why it's so interesting coded where you get 70 and then you get 72. That's a remez. Anyone has it? Okay, so there's a strike contrast between the sons of the firstborn, the sons that make up the firstborn, the managers, the masters, the chiefs of the house, and the servants. And unfortunately, what happens when the wicked get in control, you have the servants all of a sudden ruling and reigning. All right, and that there's a lot of incredible literature done, so to speak, on this concept when the wicked flourish and when they begin. Now, let me just flush out a little bit more so we can paint this picture, because these tares, they're everywhere. They're in the Catholic Church, okay? They're in our government. They're in our banksters. They're our banksters. They're in our monetary system. They're in our media. Oh my gosh. They're in our schools. They're in our neighborhoods. I mean, it's a crazy world. All right? There's tons and tons and tons of mixture. But when the Bible talks about the wicked or this pocket of people, and basically, we're all prone to evil. We can all. But the point is, there's a certain demographic or root soul system where people just practice wickedness. All right, and it's really a different mindset when your go-to response is always wicked. All right, the reason, and let me say this, at Ephraim or Judah, it's not their go-to response. It's just not. Good people are called good people for a reason, because normally they know how to respond appropriately, how to love your neighbors yourself. Now, they might be successful to varying degrees, but at least they understand the concept and are not contrary to it. See? Okay, but when the wicked get control, when you get corrupt leadership at the very tops of these mountains, so media is a huge mountain, the government, the military, all these things in our country. This satanic, Luciferian, net and cabal has been growing in our government for probably over really 120 years. Now, much longer they've been here, but their plan really took, in my opinion, went front and center, and they really had positions of power where they could really start making things happening when we changed our seal, which was, I think, in around 1880. It was good 150 years ago. And it's been a progression, that frog in the kettle, but we're there. Okay, the pot is boiling, people. It is boiling hot. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Ephesians, now let's just go to a New Testament text, Ephesians. All right, Paul was a master Kabbalist, and he really understood the deep sewed levels. He understood this whole concept, the tree of life. He speaks of it. Adam Caveman, Yod He Vav He, the Tetragrammaton. Okay, these are all highly Hebraic Jewish concepts, but I can't go there. But it says not to participate in works of darkness. I'm quoting from paraphrasing like Ephesians 11 through 12. And it says, do not, and we've heard, these are the do nots, okay? Participate in works of darkness. And there's many lists of works of darkness in the Tanakh, and I'll give you many, and in the New Testament. It says, for it is, but expose them. Expose their works and expose the perpetrators. You've got to keep the light on them. They love darkness. They work best in darkness. If they can continue under the radar, best for them. But that's not what the end time says. Everything is coming out. All the unfruitful hidden works of darkness are coming into the light. That's why now we're getting back the big picture. We're going, oh, now I get it. I have spent my whole life, probably last 60 years, seriously, trying to figure out who they are. Okay, two really major, I guess, currents in my life is why I've always wanted to know truth. I just want the truth, really and truly, bare, bottom line, total, trustable, absolutely empirical truth. I have found it in my entry through Yeshua HaMashiach, okay, into this truth, bedrock, doesn't change, and who they are. I grew up in a family where we always debated loudly, and it was great. And in my opinion, that's why I'm so verbal. My dad encouraged strong debate and strong opinion. We get out of hand sometimes, but the point is it was a sharpening process going on. But he would always say to me when I'd say, well, they're doing it, or it's them, they, and he'd like, who are they? And I could never figure it out. Like the good person is always saying, well, they, the bad people. Well, who are they and where are they? I mean, we would go round them up, if really and truly, in a justice, if we could figure out who they were, where they operated, and shut it all down. But it's coming to the light, and it is getting ready to totally happen. But so we don't participate in their works of darkness. We're exposing them. That is what's going on hugely today. And it's even distasteful. It's distasteful, untasteful, disgraceful to speak of what they do in their dark rituals in dark places with dark souls. This is something, Ephraimite church, in your infancy, you have forgotten, you have unlearned, you have been kept at a very dumbed down level of not understanding historically for a couple of 100 years what these people do, what they're capable of, how organized. All right, let me come back to that. Let's just talk about what these people do. All right, because well, let me just start from the very beginning, because now I know who they are, and they deserve cursed. Cursed is the root of Cain. Anyone, come out of her, my people. Just because you're born into bad circumstances doesn't mean that that's the end of your soul life, the end of your story. No, okay? That's a whole part of the gospel. That's the whole point. That's the point of the Old Testament and the point of the New Testament. We are the masters of our own ship, our own soul, all right? And Yahweh is abundant in loving kindness and tender mercy, in helps. Just call upon him, okay? But these people, like just even taking Revelation, a summation of when this final war, the final lock them up is going to happen, so to speak. These people are liars. They just lie. There is no truth in them. People that are awake today, I mean, with this rabbit hole is almost endless. Is anything that we were really taught true? I mean, it's all skewered from the slant of these wicked nations, all right? Their POV, not, we have lost our Torah POV, point of view. But they are in, these people, they're cowards. They operate behind the scenes with stealth, with subtlety, with craft, with like not wanting to be exposed. You know, that's why they're like the scorpion comes out of his hole, strikes and goes back. That's their modus operandi, all right? They're very hard to pin down. We have historically at times, you know, yes, and the righteous really do have to rise up. Sometimes it's very serious. But these people are perverse. Now, the sexual immorality, there's two things that go together in this. It's coming out. And this is, see, I don't even like to talk about it. You know, I know there's a lot of people that really do a lot of good exposure, and that's the focus of their channels. I really want to acknowledge the dark side. It's totally in the text. I have read in the Zohar. Let me just say, in the footnotes, and I didn't have time to go find it, and I should find it and screen share it. It says it right there. Judah has always known. It's in the Mishnah. It's in the writings. How Antarctic was always where the fallen angels were put, under the mountain, deep, cavernously underground. But they knew that. That's where Balaam went. It says that Balaam went there to learn his sorceries. Everybody's that the elite dark side has always known where to go to learn the best sorceries. So we're not discovering anything new. There's nothing new under the sun. It already says that in our text, if we would bother to read our own texts, okay? But these people are perverse. They practice perverse sexuality. That's inhuman, and it's subhuman. It's against children. It's against babies. It's against minors. That is what, it's so twisted. They are pedophile. They are corrupt in their sexual nature beyond comprehension. And this is what is coming out. This is why the Bible warns so clearly, do not get caught up in what the nations do. Do not practice. We're not to be stupid. The point I'm trying to, we're supposed to be wise as serpents. We're supposed to totally understand what our enemy is capable of and watch him. But, you know, but it pales them, you know, MK, the children, where are these 800,000 children that disappear every year going to? Where is this sex trafficking that's in epidemic proportions? What is going on? This lawless subculture, this deep state, I don't care what you call it, this Luciferian, this under the earth network. It's dark. It's in dark places with dark souls, and they do dark rituals, and they're accessing the powers. This is the technology of the fallen angels, harnessing the fallen. Let's see, how do I just to give it? They're harnessing in covenant fallen entities and their powers, and together they can be quite effective in causing destruction and disease and mayhem and famine and pestilence. And I mean, it's just no way. And so this is what I want to say. This root starts with, for intents and purposes, in the Adamic race with Cain, the story of Cain, the story in the garden, Cain and Abel, the two soul roots that were born to Eve. There's a whole story there, people. This is the point. There were two trees in the garden. She had two seed lines. She birthed two seed lines. It's a very, it's see what you get in Genesis, that, you know, at Eve ate an apple. I mean, it's just, again, it's, you want a child to be able to read the story and understand there's consequences to disobedience. But in terms of what really happened in the garden, plenty of very adult information. But I just want to keep moving. These are the Cainites. They can be tracked through history, and they always make alliances with dark forces, dark principalities. See, people, this is what it is. There are principalities, there's powers, there's angelic orders in this tree of life, in these realms. And many of them are malevolent. That's what the Bible tells us. Good angels, bad angels, good and whatever you want to call it. I mean, these are intelligences. All right. Angel is probably a bad word today because people have these weird ideas about it. Call them highly sophisticated, free-willed intelligences, shape-shifting intelligences. What can I tell you? All right. These people, they plot, they murder, they steal, they oppress, they suppress truth, they hide behind respectability. But inwardly, they are ravenous wolves. They would tear us to pieces, and they have been tearing us to pieces for thousands of years. All right. It's time that these tears, this root system goes bye-bye. All right. But this is where just the in the exposure. So when people, the reason why a lot of people, it's mind-boggling. You start to try to tell people what's really going on, and they look at you like you're the freak, you're from outer space, like who? Even though our whole media, I mean, all the books and the movies and the TV show, everything is talking about this type of people. I mean, it's great, but they look at you like you're crazy. But in one way, this is the point of the Ephraimite soul. The Ephraimite soul is good. I wouldn't know this stuff, and a lot of people will admit to you they wouldn't know this stuff unless by revelation the Father had started to draw them into getting this mystery, this revelation. You don't go looking for it, or unless you've come out of it and you already understand full well. See, today is a very high ritualistic, dark side holiday, the summer solstice, people. It's going to be all sorts of crap going on, but we're going to shut it down by the blood of the Lamb. We have to fight with the weapons that I have of our warfare, and they are powerful. They're pulling down these intelligences that are over us, and they infiltrate the media. They're getting through our phone. They're so in our. Throw your Alexis out, people. This whole network, this web, is so insidious. But what I just have to keep, these people they practice human sacrifice. These things are, as I say, most Ephraim, they're just good. You know, it's one thing, and this is why, Ephraim, you are being judged for your sins, because you sit there and consume this crap, just letting yourself get neffishly, carnally titillated, or whatever goes on, you know, You're not supposed to observe, watch evil. You're supposed not to, it desensitizes you. To get pleasure out of watching evil behavior is something wrong there, Ephraim. Get out of Babylon. All right. But the point is, they do these practices that have sorceries attached, that are mind control, that absolutely have the power to control your thinking, to influence. And let me put it this way: they're massive, these influencers. You have to be pretty strong in Adonai and in his mighty power. It's the only way to be protected and to be able to fight offensively. But there's a remnant on the earth getting our mojo back. We get it. But these people, we have to say, they has to come to the light. Their perverse practices absolutely has to. And people, but Ephraim, you're so good. This is the point. You just don't believe it because basically you wouldn't really conceive it in your wildest imaginations. The wickedness of these people. God is just. Let me tell you, when Adonai Elohim judges these people, believe me, he's been perfectly patient. He's endured beyond comprehension. These people will be judged quickly, swiftly, and righteously. And I don't mean in just the people, the wicked people, but there's principalities in here. There's angels at different levels of this thing. Okay. Now, let me just say, so making the case for let's not play stupid anymore. What's going on in our country is absolutely a war for the soul of America. Ephraim, are you going to stay with Judah? Are we going to keep our birthright? Are we going to be able to fulfill our birthright at the very end? All right, because that's who we are. We have a governmental mandate, a covenantal blessing mandate upon us to be a place out of the dragon's reach when the wrath and when these nations really do come in full together with their prince to take on. But even before that, they will amass, and they will amass, and they will put pressure, they will battle the saints until wear them down. But those that know their Elohim are going to be strong and do exploits. And there's an elect remnant. Today is the day to do warfare against the release of this demonic energies that they're trying to do on the church. The unsuspecting, the unwary, the stupid. That's really what the word. All right, we have to stand in the gap for these people. Now, see, now I wouldn't believe a lot of this stuff. This is the point, if that people say that goes on with these people, from drinking blood baby to the what's the word, adrenochrome, whatever it is. I mean, there's just such a perversity. It's incomprehensible. But Ephraim, it's a hard time to even believe it because we wouldn't even think like that. But Ephraim, that's why you're stupid. That's why you're a dumb sheep now. That's why all this stuff is happening around you and you don't really understand. And they're leading you by the nose. This mask, oh my God, that's the most prophetic act the dark side has done. It probably could be in the top 10. All right, to muzzle. It's a muzzle, people. Look, I want to say something here. Who gets the disease, the plague, and who doesn't? That is in the court of Yahweh. You're no more going to figure it out than a man on the moon, and you're never going to make a vaccine that is beneficial to our immune system than a man on the moon, because you're motivated, A, by the love of money. Okay, so let me just say this. There's no way in a million words to how it really transmits, but why one body is susceptible and another is not. We know that weakness, of course, weakness in your immune system, compromising your immune system, where you don't have the same reserves to fight back. Of course, they always go after the weak and those on the edges of the herd, so to speak. But the core, it's just there. Okay, so this pandemic, you'll never understand what's going on. You'll only be a mouthpiece for the principality of the airwaves. If you don't go deeper and you don't start to believe what I'm saying. This is in the writings. People, these perverse Luciferians have been written about. It's been recorded, starting with the flood from Adam, starting with the flood with Noah, with Enoch. The writings of Enoch are explicit. It's carried over. Abraham understood this. Abraham had to win Nimrod. These strong men, they're antichrist figures, these Luciferian principalities that get a rulership down here, literally a foothold in the earthly realm to rule and reign with. And oh my gosh, these people do huge destruction and devastation. But it usually only happens when Ephraim, Judah, when the people are asleep at the switch, or they've been so oppressed that but they're oppressed because of their sins. Now let's just look at the other side. But I'll tell you, it's in the writings. See, I wouldn't believe it either, but as a primary text researcher, it's in the writings. And I didn't make that stuff up. That stuff is ancient knowledge. It's all over the world. All the anthologies of the world have this. I mean, you can go down to Mexico or down, South America, and you can find the mass graves of baby skulls. 80, 60, 80,000, 90,000 skulls of baby. What is that all about? Oh, well, look fast forward to today. The ritualistic sacrifice of human life, and for all their purposes and so I just want to say, enough on that. You just got to really and truly get a voice, Ephraim, with Judah, and we have to fight back with what? With the word, with the Torah. We're the firstborn. It's our job to keep law and order in the cosmos. It's our job. Okay? That's who God put in charge. So let's clean up our act and let's get out there. Let's do what we're supposed to do. The whole world's waiting for the posse to come to town. Where's the sheriff? I mean, we know who ultimately the sheriff is, but believe me, there's a lot of, you can start getting ready. So let me just go on a couple more points here. Now, the dark side, the other side, this is why when you get a hold of the keys and how there's so many different ways, it's endless, the ways that this perverse soul root manifests. But they're called the word goy. See this, the mixed multitude, the goyim. This is a mixture. Most people have a mixture at this point, the way it is. Most people are really not wholly evil or wholly good. This is the whole point. See, because race, I've said it so many times, it's not color when it talks about black, white, and red. It's not talking about your color of your skin. It's talking about the color of your soul. Okay? Black souls are from the dark side, the other side. It's called the back side. It is the side that's away from the light. It's dark. There are no eyes in the back of your head. Okay, they stumble in darkness. They have no light of life. All their works are evil continuously. All their thoughts are evil continuously. All right? This is where they are very seldom upright or up front. This is the whole point. They slurk and lurk in the back, and they're the shadow. This is where the Bible archetypes, it just doesn't lie, and nature doesn't lie. It doesn't paint. It paints a picture that's true. All right. Now let me just say this so what's our answer? Because some of the chants out there. No, I shouldn't. I don't want to be provocative because it's very serious, but we do have to lock them up. These people are going to be, and not only these people, but their angelic cohorts and the other principalities and powers that they are in alliance with. Okay. Now let me just share something. I want to screenshot something really quick. Not take a long time. Okay. Here is Nehemiah 9. Now this has happened many times in the history of us, the people of God. At the time of Noah, the world had to be judged because the righteous just really could not keep a lid on the evil. It's happened in Abraham. It happened again. Joshua went into the land. It's happened many times. But this is a verse, Nehemiah 9, okay, verse 6. It says, but this verse, what I first have to say, you have to see how the words are coded to the tree of life. On another note, I'm going back on TV. I am just not a lighting person or a camera person myself enough. I just cannot get it right. So I'm going back on, the local TV station. So the quality hopefully is going to really improve. But I'm going to teach again much more starting the base of the tree of life, because this is wisdom. We got to get wisdom and get knowledge. The only way you get above your problems, you got to get someplace is in wisdom and understanding. Now listen to this verse. You are Adonai. You are, no, sorry. It says you alone are the Lord. It's Yod He Vav He. Yod He Vav He. If you're a Christian or you don't understand, this is the name. His name is not Jesus. Okay, the God we worship a God that the Old Testament, the God in the New Testament, his name is Yod He Vav He, and it's 10 Sephiroth, it's 22 letters. It's a very complex system. What we can know about the God that we serve, Yod He Vav He, Yahweh Elohim. All right, it says you have made, Yahweh Elohim made the heavens, plural, the heavens. You got to understand, people, this is a level of multiple heavens. The Bible says there's 10 heavens. Did you know there's 7 earths? There's 7 levels to hell. Did you know that? Okay, you have made the heavens, the heaven of heavens with all their hosts, the heaven of heavens. Now this is what all right, let me figure this out. The earth and is all that is on it, the seas and all that is in them, you give life to all of them, and the heavenly host bows down to you, before you. Okay, that was a 100% total picture of the tree of life. All right, this is Yod He Vav He. This is Keter. This is the crown. This is the stone of Israel. This is basically, when Yah spoke, everything is, this is the nut of all creation. This is what the Father has revealed, tightly knit before it begins to take shape. This is in the mind of Elohim before it begins to all take shape and come down here into physicality. But the heavens, but I have to say this, the earth, see, this is our physical plane, the earth and all that is on it, animals and beasts and fish, but you know, vegetations and minerals and rocks and mountains and seas and atmosphere. I mean, there's a lot to the physicality of it, plus the atom that's on it. All right, but then it goes and it talks about the heaven of the heavens and the seas. This level of Ruach and Yetzirah, this is the seas. This is our emotional life. The Bible calls it the seas. And it says, you know, it's constantly turning and tossing. It's very hard, you know, when things get kicked up, to keep a very calm emotional state. And this is the heaven of heavens. These two are the heavens. This is, so you have the upper heavens, which is really from Tiferet up, and you have the lower heavens. The lower heavens is where our problem principalities are and powers. It is not that hard to cast them down. We can have that faith and that level of wisdom and understanding to know, and we can do that. But all right, so I wanted to point that out, that this is what it's talking about. And then the heavenly host. Did you know that there's ranks of angels in each one of these worlds and dimensions? And the Bible is absolutely explicit about that, from the Hebrew, from the word. So the best thing we can do is throw out these translations. Okay, so the remedy for our situation, you know, as the Father says, vengeance is mine, I will repay. But the point is, we're in this predicament because we've lost our way. Let me just go to one. I want to go to 26. Hold on. Yes, I want to go to verse 26. And just let me say this, because again, after this is recounting Nehemiah, everything that the Father did for Israel to bring them out of the muck and mire, to clean them up, to give them an elevated status, to make them powerful, strong, and prosperous in their body, soul, and spirit, everything. And they became, you know, chipped away. The enemy who continues to fight and oppress, chipped away until finally they had become a worthless people, basically. And he says, and they became disobedient and rebelled against you, the Father, Yod He Vav He, and cast your law behind their backs. Your prophets who had admonished them said they might return, but they did not. We know that. And they committed great blasphemies. See, people, this is where we are. We have profaned the word. We have broken the commandments. We have not loved the Father with all of our heart, mind, soul, and strength. Something that is like the apple of your eye, like your pupil, you really protect it. I mean, you know, you watch out for it. It's vital. You get it. You get it. We did not consider the law like that. Even in our country, we're 3 generations totally throwing the baby out with the bath, being asleep at the switch, letting them take our biblical foundation, our rights, our understandings. The nations, these wicked got in here. They have totally transformed this nation. See, when it says transform the earth, they have totally transformed us from righteous people to really, I don't want to be really, to dumb sheep. All right. We are the most biblically illiterate generation that's ever lived. I swear. I mean, people in this last generation, and this is what the Bible is always saying, it's just completely illiterate to the Bible, even to just basic stories. So you can't kind of use that as an analogy, a parable to explain something. To true depth of knowledge. We have very few Torah sages, complete house, completed Jews, unified Torah sages on the scene. I mean, it's definitely changing. But this is something that we have to come to grips with, because we have done this to ourselves. So the righteous, we have got to repent. This concept of repenting is not a small deal, and there is a formula. And it can happen very quickly with good leadership. If this leadership is not starting to really and truly, with authority, well, I had another piece of paper. There's a process. You've got, return. You have to do teshuvah. You have to understand you're in a pickle. Your enemy is stronger than you. He's doing great damage to the name of Yahweh, the prophetic plan of Yahweh right now, and to Yahweh's people. And that's some serious stuff. But you have to turn. You have to acknowledge. Our kids don't even like the 10 Commandments. I mean, come on, people, what were we thinking? Our bedrock, our foundation, the Torah that does not change. We've changed. We've allowed so many down the line. But this is what, if we don't acknowledge that, just like in Nehemiah's time, just say goodbye. Sell your house, go. You might as well go find a place out of the fry zone to try to get through it, all right? But then you have to turn, then you have to repent. You really do have to have a change of heart. Your heart has to be affected, people. There's not enough true repentance. Today, a lot of these Luciferian sorcerers are going to get through because people's hearts are hard, because they're not in a condition. You understand how these energies work, these intelligences. They know you better than you know yourself. It's like they go look at a book and say, well, there's 6 parts over here on this side with this stuff, and they only got 4, 6 and 4. You're gonna get singed. You're gonna get hurt. Stuff's gonna happen. You're gonna come under the chastisements. Come out of her, my people. All right. You have to return. You have to repent. Then you have to read. There's a great one, and I don't know if it was in this chapter, what they started to do. So Nehemiah he admonished them to turn back after many years. He said, and they did, and they read. But then what they started to do is they started to read. You got to read, people. Reading is the food for the mind. You feed your body. Americans love to feed their bodies. It's totally prophetic. Dead crap food that's killing them. And our moral compass is dead and fat and flatlining because we've been feeding all this godless shit from the nations. And our minds. You have to start reading the text. And the text, it's very clear. There's a book called The Ethiopian Discalia. Before I go there, and then you'll have revival. I just want to say that's the formula, people. You return, you repent, you start to read, and then there start to be revival, because the reading is the water which is starting to water your parched soul again and to make you fruitful again, standing upright. You ever seen a tree that's all wilted, or a bush, and then you give it some water and it's like, whoa, happy. Okay, we can do this. Our nation can become a blessed place again with freedom and liberty and justice for all. So the Torah, and it's in the Torah. The Torah is life. The Torah in the Old, the word is Tanakh. It's an acronym. You have to start to read. The remnant does this, but we used to be a much more biblically literate generation, or people, where you could talk about. You try to tell some of these people that, that's breaking a commandment, and they look at you like, what are you talking about? What's a commandment? What that is? Oh, I never. Okay. We are very far gone. We have to raise up a whole huge amount of people who have deep Torah ethics, mitos, and knowledge to teach again. And they have to have the character to withstand all the attacks of the enemy. So the Torah, it's the first word, it's Tanakh. It's the Torah, the Tav. It is the first 5 books of Moshe. just got to read the storyline, the birth of us as a people with a mission for Elohim. We are recovenanted into the covenant with Moshe at Sinai. Christian, that's the covenant. The Torah is, then it's the Nevi'im. So then the next word, Tanakh, and a Nun, it stands for the Nevi'im, the prophets. Again, it's not like the Father didn't tell us over and over and over again, he sent prophets. And then the last one is the Ketuvim with a sound. So it's Tanakh. This is the Ketuvim, which is the writings. And it's the writings, people. It's the writings. You need to read the writings. Start with simple one, Book of Jasher. You've got to read the Book of Jasher. You've got to get the bigger storyline. You've got to read and become a Torah sage, a master of the writings. Because there's knowledge is power, and we need to get power to push back our enemy at the gates. It's very crucial. I am not going to lose America. Not on my watch. I believe in this country. I believe in our birthright. I want to make Yahweh proud at the end, run the race to the finish line. We will be a place of refuge. We will feed the nations. It'll be unbelievable how well we can end. And Satan's just kind of left out there with some godless nations just gnashing and, raising their fist. I hope that blessed you. Shalom. I will see you from the TV station next time. Shalom. Oh, you never stop sharing the screen. Oh, well.